Cashflow Diary Podcast, episode 207.
Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Cashflow Diary Podcast, the podcast that teaches you insider tips, tactics, and strategies for creating leverage streams of cash flow into your life. Learn from top-performing entrepreneurs, business owners, investors, and thought leaders from across the globe as they share their secrets to success. Like what you learn on this and other Cashflow Diary podcast episodes? Go to learninvestingnow.com and sign up to receive powerful tips and information that will help you succeed as an entrepreneur and investor. Now, here's your host, investor, entrepreneur, business owner, educator, speaker, author, and master facilitator of Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow game, Jay Massey.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Cashflow Diary Podcast. I'm your host, Jay Massey, and you guys know what's up. We have been having a ton of fun, lots of insight, gaining wisdom from the individuals who have gone out there and done things that you might now think are actually possible for you, which is great. And that's been the goal of this entire series is, hey, how can I take what I used to earn in a year and do it in a month? And we've set the mark at $100,000. We've set the mark at $100,000. And for some of you that may be like, I just don't get that. How is that possible? Or maybe some of you are thinking, if I did that, I just wouldn't work 11 more months and I'd be happy. That all of those things, completely acceptable thoughts. And today we have yet another individual who has been able to make this happen. And here's the thing that you're going to find many unique things, but she, and yes, you heard that correctly, ladies, you can do it too. She has a unique business that I would have never considered in this particular arena. And I'm excited to learn more about it. Her name is Elizabeth Doherty Thomas, and she is the co-founder of the Doherty Relationship Institute, and they do marriage and family therapy. You're like, what? I know. That's exactly what I was thinking, is how on earth do you go from that, sitting on a couch, to $100,000? Now, here's the unique thing that I really like. 30 days was too long for them. Did it in 7. What? Yes. And we're going to find out how, we're going to find out why, and we're going to talk to her deeply to understand exactly how to make these types of things happen for yourself. And who knows, we might even get some relationship counseling along the way. So help me welcome Elizabeth Thomas. Elizabeth, how you doing?
Hi, good. Thanks for that intro. It cracks me up.
Well, hey, you did it. I'm just telling every people why you are so awesome. Now,
Thank you.
Before we get too far gone, into it, describe to us a little bit more about your business and how it works. I mean, all this stuff about, you've Elle Magazine, Wall Street Journal, USA Today, you've been everywhere. Tell us a little bit more about how that stuff happens.
Yeah. So my father has been in the marriage field for a long time. And so he's an innovator and a creative one and knows how to pitch the media, which of course could be its own podcast.
No doubt.
But really what the media wants and what we're creating is something new and fresh. As you alluded to, how can you make a 6-figure launch in the relationship space? So, so Marital first responders, which we won't talk about as much because that's still in launch mode, is a fascinating way to help people. So if people confide in you about their marriage, you are a natural confidant, and we call you a marital first responder, and we're offering training on helping you be better with your friends and family, like know what to say and how to support them better.
Well, I know I get stuck a lot.
Exactly.
I don't have a clue. I'm not licensed for this. Go help somebody or go find, So here's the interesting thing here's the thing that I find interesting. You have a business that is traditionally offline, but yet you found a way to bring it into a completely different realm.
Yeah. So let me talk about the 6-figure launch and the my business. Yeah. So it's called Discernment Counseling. And what we did was, my father, who's my business partner, created many industries. You have a stuck point in your professional role. And so for marriage counselors, the stuck point is one person, often the woman, because 2/3 of divorces are filed by women. The woman says, I don't think I want to be married. She's just stuck. Like, I don't want marriage counseling because I don't like the guy, but I don't know if I want divorce because that's a pretty big deal. Meanwhile, the guy is completely freaking out, right? He's like, oh my gosh, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
So they go to a marriage counselor. And what in the heck do you do as a marriage counselor? If you side with him, then she's going to be completely turned off, right? Like forcing her to want to be married to him. But if you side with her, then you're telling this guy, you just need to get over yourself, buddy. She doesn't like you. And it's a horrible place to be. So we have created sort of a new approach that honors both people and where they're at. And what I did was, this was a live workshop, live trainings. Many of the viewers probably know that's the sort of traditional model, offline, sit in a big room.
Right.
And in therapy land, you sit in a room for 1 to 4 days straight, and you're absolutely exhausted. And you go home and you're like, what just happened? What just happened?
Yes.
And and then like many crafts, you don't actually learn it until you try it, right? So you get drowned for 4 days, and then you see your first client. And literally this happened to me. So I spent over $1,500 for this awesome therapy training. My very first client said, it's called emotionally focused therapy, right? So emotion. My very first couple the guy says, I don't believe in emotion. Thanks, Scott. That's awesome. I got you.
They didn't say that. Hold on.
Exactly. Anyway, so I knew there was a need in the marketplace to go online with the training and online with the ongoing support. So when you see that first couple, you can say, oh my gosh, what do I do now? So we have put all of that online. I have sort of started to reshape my field to say you can go online, and the creator or the founder of that training can be available by email anytime you want.
That's awesome.
Therapists are loving it.
Well, of course. I don't have to get on a plane. I don't have to, deal with the hotel and travel, and then God forbid
hours for dollars. So you spend $2,000 to $3,000 to go, and you lose $2,000 to $3,000 in income.
That's right. Because you're self-employed. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And again, I hope for those of you listening, you've heard me say, like many of you have asked, hey, Jay, how do I find a real estate deal? And I've said, quit looking for deals, look for problems. And you've heard this exact same thing right here. So Elizabeth, let me ask you this, because I think this will also help people understand a little bit more about you. I tend to look at today's entrepreneurs a lot like yesterday's superheroes. So, Wonder Woman, you can Hulk, Black Widow, whatever. We entrepreneurs and superheroes have a ton in common. I mean, occasionally we get dressed up. Sometimes we put on a cape and maybe tights and masks, and we use our special skills and abilities to go around and hopefully improve the quality of life of other people. So, I also think that superheroes, and entrepreneurs are alike in another way that's important. Is that before, Wonder Woman was Wonder Woman, she had a backstory. She had a life. Something happened to her. She had a superhero moment where things changed for her, but she was just a normal girl.
Exactly.
So before all of this, before you had this inspiration, before the marriage and family therapy, before all the news, what I want to know is, who is Elizabeth Doherty Thomas?
Yeah, well, I think one theme is the accidental entrepreneur, and yet it's not an accident, right? So like my very first entrepreneurial experience was biking to the local store to buy Charms blow pops to resell them to my classmates.
Yes.
I even learned the scaling thing. It was like, I can't remember if it was 50 cents per blow pop, but if you bought 3, it was 75 cents, right? So like learning all of that and how it increased sales. And I loved Girl Scout cookie selling. I love that. My aunt had a stained glass shop in my grandma's front porch in rural Iowa. And I was just like, oh my gosh, the cash register and the inventory. Right? I was just like, completely nerding out. But like a lot of your viewers probably, other than my aunt, nobody, my dad's an academic and my mom was a nurse. So We actually didn't have frontline exposure to the business world. And in fact, when I turned 25, I had a quarter life crisis thinking like the business world was evil. Anyway, so really quick backstory. Went to college, didn't know what I want to major in, thought I was going to do education in Spanish, and I ended up deciding I couldn't be a teacher, went down psychology. It seemed the most interesting, freaked out, could not be a therapist, too extroverted. Oh my God, sitting in a remote day with somebody, shoot me now. So what did I do? I go into HR, which is ridiculous because it's the same thing. Everyone's talking to people.
Less pay.
Their drama.
Right.
And then it was kind of this values of around having kids. I think a lot of us struggle. What do we do? Wanting to be home, money, that sort of thing. So my husband and I decided he made more money. So I would be home. And my father was starting a website and we didn't know anything. But it was sort of the accidental, I'll just do some customer service for it. Mm-hmm. So here's where the universe shifts, right? So my husband had a career crisis, could not stay in corporate. I was a stay-at-home mom on this little baby website. The baby website was failing after its first year because we knew nothing about anything. Right. And so it was my ego to say, oh my gosh, like I can't afford a job and pay for daycare. So I need to crush.
What is business. That? Yeah, I'm sorry. I got you.
Exactly.
That is such a conundrum. It's like, if you want to send somebody, if somebody wants to work, it's like, yeah, but daycare costs more than you would earn. So stay home.
Exactly. So it was kind of one of those, I had everything to lose. And so I just crushed it. We had no money, right, which is a common thing.
Woohoo.
So I learned, this was 2006, 2007, 2008. I learned search engine optimization, right, ranking high on Google organically. I thought, I remember interviewing a potential agency and listened to the person, and I was like, you know what? I'm smart. I think I can do this on my own. I don't need to pay him a bunch of money. I don't trust him anyway, right? A lot of viewers probably don't trust people either. And I'm here to say sometimes that's good because you learn a ton.
Right. Yes.
You have to do it on your own. So then I did crush it. And my therapists were so hilarious. So we did an annual membership. And the letters for the next year were, I don't know what Elizabeth did, but keep it up. Keep up that magic. And so that's what really inspired me. I'm a very concrete, I need to see results. I don't like pie in the sky thinking. I like to get things done. And so having that initial success spurred my curiosity about this entire internet marketing space.
You know, it's interesting how I like the idea of the accidental entrepreneur or accidental landlord or accidental anything. Yep. And how oftentimes we weren't really looking. I know myself, I wasn't looking for real estate. Real estate became a part of the solution as a result of the problem. I had a question. How do I earn money if my wife is sick and I'm sick and I can't work?
Exactly. And I honestly think if my husband had not had a career crisis and decided, he actually became a therapist too. So he was in grad school making negative money, right? Because you're paying tuition and not making money. Great combination. That if he hadn't done that, and I fully supported him in that. I'm a firm believer that you got to listen to your soul, and education debt is good debt. But if he hadn't done that, I wouldn't have had the pressure to learn and to do something. So it was absolutely hell what we've been through. Right. And we're still coming out of it these many years later, but I don't regret it for a second. I can't imagine not doing what I'm doing now.
Well, now you're bringing up a really, really great point. On this journey to the 100K, on this journey to success, on this journey to making anything worthwhile, often we do encounter roadblocks, setbacks, failure events, etc. My question is, with those, because I know there's a number of people listening, their intent behind studying and taking another course and doing all this other stuff is to avoid everything you just said. So my question is, I hear you. But my question though is, do you think that's possible? Can you reach that destination without experiencing the pain of failures and those roadblocks and tough situations? Is it possible? Could you, looking back now, hindsight's 2020, could you have avoided it in any way, shape, or form?
Nope. Unequivocally, no. Because you have to learn and fail. There's like literally no such thing. Actually, have you noticed that there are some, I think Mark Cuban even said this, the Shark Tank guy. He said, I don't trust one-time success people where they had like one single launch and then that was it.
Right.
Because they have an ego.
Right.
They haven't experienced the failure and the humility to say it's a lot of hard work and there's an element of luck.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I really, in fact, what I'm doing now is based on pretty much 10 years of failure.
Exactly.
I had to get over myself to actually realize I didn't know anything. And maybe those marketing people and those entrepreneurs actually knew what they were talking about.
Well,
and I'm not even kidding. Like, I thought I was above that.
Yeah, of course. I mean, there's no reason to not think, because nothing like that has ever happened. Why would you quit after failing? I mean, it's gonna work. Of course it's going to work. Well, which brings up something that I get a little heated about from time to time is I think, when I think about our educational system, I think one of the biggest disservices that exists is the fact that it teaches and trains us to try to get something right the first time without help, and that doesn't happen.
It's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah.
And so what I would guess then my question would be, when it comes to the concept of failing and making errors in judgment, what is your perspective now on how valuable or invaluable are they worth? Is it worthwhile to go do this experimentation process, or should I just wait until all the lights are green and everything's perfect before I start?
Well, it's an interesting question. I think we actually go into it thinking green light, we're good to go, and then we fail. And I'm here to say that that's fine. Like, you go into it full-hearted. And know that if you fail, it doesn't mean you don't have a good heart and you don't have a good idea. It just means you didn't learn what you needed to know, but you didn't know what you didn't know.
Right.
I never went into anything half-assing it, really, right? Like, I really did think,
right,
well, gosh, we got on the Today Show. Like, of course we're going to sell all of our products. Right. Get the servers and the bandwidth ready.
Right? Totally. The website's going to crash. You don't understand.
Exactly.
And then you're like, hold on, what do you mean? Why didn't we sell anything?
Exactly. And so, I look at people like that and I think, oh, sweetie, okay, when it doesn't work, don't give up.
That's good. And I think that's important to hear, because oftentimes I know for myself, you can think, oh, if I could just get on Oprah and I know we were talking before, you were saying that's something.
Sell his books. We didn't have a mansion because of Oprah.
Exactly. I just want that to be said, because sometimes we can hang our hopes and put our faith and say, once this happens, it's all going to be easy and downhill from here.
I could talk for 5 hours on that feeling we've had.
Right.
Clear proof of why this will be successful, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It is undeniably only going to go up. That's the only direction that's possible. Can't you see? The numbers are right here.
Exactly. And wouldn't you say that's a signal to those of us who've had success? We actually are more humble. It's interesting. I can feel new people, right? They have I landed this thing, and you look at them and they have no business model. They have no systems.
Right.
And you sort of cringe, but they're not able to hear it.
No, not at that moment.
Not at that moment.
And neither was I.
Exactly. Which is fine. But then I don't like it when people give up, because they don't hear these stories of we all failed and you're not a loser, and it's the part of the journey.
It is a necessary, critical part of the journey. I've often told people to fail fast, fail forward, fail frequently. And the only reason you're listening to me instead of me listening to you is because I've just failed more.
Exactly.
There's nothing else about it.
Yep. And then you get used to it, and you don't create such an ego around it. Though it sucks, right? I mean, it's never fun.
No, I haven't found it to be fun either. Yes.
No, but it's kind of like you learn that. So I remember for my 6-figure launch, it was absolutely stressful. I did everything myself. Like, looking back, I'm like, wow, it's only a year ago that I launched.
Mm.
But I remember at one point I had to stop because I was just in so much terror. I felt like I was if you flicked me, I would shatter like glass. And I remember asking myself, what's the worst case scenario? Right? There's no lion that's going to come eat me. You know what I mean? Like, we literally get in a headspace.
Right.
We we will be chained up and whipped and die. Yeah, I have to remember, nothing's going to happen. This will have been an enormously tragic learning opportunity.
Enormously tragic learning opportunity. Indeed. But you bring up two very important things, because you said the new person doesn't have any systems. And you said during your launch where you did the $100,000, you said you did it by yourself. So I've got to now get your perspective on the necessity or quality of systems. Are they important? What systems do you employ, and does one need in order to make that happen?
Wow. So because there's two systems, I would say. There's the business model stuff, and then there's actual technology.
I'm listening. Go.
Okay. So you have to split them up. And so for me, my journey began with, I need to figure out an actual business model. Like, I need to figure out a path, and I need to follow a path. And I had followed too many people half-heartedly, right? It's what's that, like the little fish that sucks the bottom of the tank? It's anyway, like catfish? A sucker fish. What is it?
I said catfish. I don't know.
No, they're like those cool little slimy things that suck the slime off your fish.
Cool little slimy things.
Those
are not
some
the
marketer used the expression, and it's great because they said there's a lot of people that are that fish. They only take the free stuff that marketers offer, right? So you're sort of skimming the surface. So my first step was buying legitimate, serious informational products, like $2,000. Yep, got to do it. Got to start and got to follow and trust. So I walked into faith with the person I chose. And that was absolutely essential, because I feel like success is the process of unlearning a lot of really bad instincts.
Did you say bad instincts?
Yes, bad instincts. And when I say bad instincts, I mean, you know how when you put somebody on a camera and they have that fake acting, they're like, like the cable TV commercial?
Yes.
Bad instincts. Yes. Most humans have bad instincts on the camera. So you could be talking to them live and they're animated and they're excited because they have this used car company, and then you stick a camera in front of them and they get really stiff. That's what I mean by bad instincts. They think the camera means they have to act a certain way, and it's bad. So I feel like my journey has been unlearning really naive bad instincts. Instincts about money, bad instincts about if you email people, you're bugging them. Bad instincts about having a stiff corporate voice.
This is good. So yes, keep going. I want to know more of these bad instincts, because I'm guessing someone out there is like, oh, that's bad.
Yeah, exactly. A bad instinct that all marketers and all, folks like you're just in this for a quick buck yourself, and you don't actually know what you're talking about. But this is hard. Like, what we do is hard. And it takes a lot of energy to train people. And so if somebody's going to go through the effort of training you, trust me, not just in it for the money. Other ways to make money that don't involve being annoyed by your basic. Right?
You got it right. You preach, sister, preach. So
anyway, so listening, and then just it's fear, a lot of fear. Just ignoring the fear and saying, okay, the system I'm following from this person I trust who has made it work, I just need to listen to that because I am not better than them. And so a lot of just fear, asking for money. Oh my God. Price points, right? So my offer was going to be like $147. And then I gasped. My husband was like, what if you charged $597? And I almost had a panic attack on the spot. Oh my God, it's so much money. And we launched at $997 and now we're at $1,297. And my goal is to get the offer up to $2,000. So, I would not have had a six-figure launch. And here's the other thing about the instincts. Bad instincts say I need to go really cheap because people won't buy. But here's the flip side. I worked my tush off for that six-figure launch. Right. I mean, I've never worked so hard in my life because I'm kind of a slacker. Like I was like the solid B student in school, academia, whatever, dude. Like I'll read your book, but I don't want to regurgitate what you want me to know. But I worked flat off for that launch. And I cannot imagine if I had made $40,000 or $50,000. Like that's not sustainable. I could not have continued. So part of the instinct was I need to charge an amount that keeps me afloat, because if I'm going to fail, I'd rather fail and know that I need to do something different rather than succeed with mediocrity and still be freaking out. Right.
So this is something this is good. So here's something I want to know. Yeah. Now, when did you have the inkling that, oh my God, we're going to get to $100,000?
All right. So today I only have really one thing to say to you. hopefully you're beginning to realize that limits are those things that you and we put on ourselves to give us an excuse to not actually go for it in full force. Here's why I'm saying that. $100,000. Everything else was time frame. 10 years, 1 year, 30 days, or 7. Either way it goes, the point is that it's possible. And these are individuals who are out there absolutely crushing it, making it happen. And before today, I hadn't even considered the idea that I would find a guest that had done it in 7. But fortunately we have, and now you know Elizabeth too. So let's just get right back to it and find out what was going through her head when she began to realize that we might actually do this in 7 days.
Like, when did that thought process, like that? I know that moment you hit push and you hit the send button, and then you're just like,
it's terrifying.
Yes.
I remember that so I did a product launch formula style of Jeff Walker, and so it's 2 weeks of videos, and then you open the cart and I did it for 7 days. And for any women who've had babies, that open cart day, I literally felt like I was in contractions, like I was laboring. I went to Target. I was like, nobody knows I'm pregnant with a business right now.
Right.
It's birthed. I think I had a sense around the launch time.
Okay.
It's just something, it felt different. It felt really different than all the times that I thought I was going to succeed because I was in Modern Bride and Today Show and USA Today and all these sexy things. This felt different. This felt like, I can't even describe it, but it felt really, really different.
Interesting.
So I played Endless Lady Gaga. She was on Howard Stern with an acoustic version of On the Edge of Glory. I played that like 300 times during the launch because I felt like I was on the edge of glory.
That's awesome.
Isn't that hilarious? I don't even like Lady Gaga, but I love that song.
Hey, it doesn't matter. It got you through.
It got me the energy and the inspiration, and like, I can do this, and I'm worthy.
Yes, and the thing that I want everyone to hear is the transformation, the mental mindset shifts that are required in order for you to get yourself to perform at the level that you're trying to perform at. I mean, this is something you had never done.
Nope.
And you're having to become a new person in the moment. And these are the things that you did in order to make that happen. So now that, that has happened and that you know how to go and do this, what has been the results just from maybe a mindset piece or confidence or self-esteem? What has happened since then?
Oh my gosh. I'm a different person. Even my husband's like, you are not the same person. I think that there's a literalism to this entrepreneur stuff. It's not just, I don't even know. There's a lot of things in life that are super important, but like even having a baby is as amazing as it is. Like, as long as nothing medically goes wrong, the baby's coming out.
Yeah.
Whereas this, my effort, my vision, it worked and people listened. And so I think it gave me enormous humility, ironically, as I'm all braggadocious, that it took other people telling me. That's what I mean by the concreteness. Other people will tell you if you're successful.
Right.
Not a coach that you hire, not a therapist who helps you with your self-esteem. The marketplace tells you if you offered what they want and they respond with their wallet. Holy crap.
I know. Exactly. And that's
the most amazing feeling ever.
I think it's what is his name? Dr. Rabbi Lapin. I think he calls them certificates of appreciation. That's exactly what he calls it, is that when you got it right, the marketplace rewards you with certificates of appreciation, which is money. Hey, I appreciate what you've done, the energy that you've made here, and learning to build an asset. I think it's critical to our success in general. And now, because now that you have this knowledge, but you have the ability to go out there and build this asset that runs whenever, at the quote unquote push of a button.
Yeah. I just did my 5th launch and I continue to convert it over 10%, which is pretty unheard of.
That's awesome.
And for a high-end offer on small lists. That's the other thing. I'm kind of defying a lot of the myths out there. So my 6-figure launch was on a list of 1,000 emails. Literally 1,000 emails. Like, open cart day one.
Dang,
It was
girl.
1,001, and the one was me. You know what I mean? Infusionsoft gives you your own email.
Wow.
Literally 1,000. And then I've had a tiny list because I've been so overwhelmed with the success that I don't know how to do paid traffic. I finally did paid traffic on the 5th launch.
Wow.
And so I seriously like that. I defy a lot of the stereotypes. So I want to give everybody so much hope that if people love you and you understand what a list is not your mom and your grandma and your neighbor.
They can be on the list, and they're probably the first ones. But she's talking about people that you remind me. I don't know if you've seen this. There's this commercial with GoDaddy, where this lady has her store, and she's like, "I finally got my first customer who wasn't related to me," and she's celebrating in the store. And it is one of my favorite commercials because and all the rest of the commercial is just showing her celebrating, over and over and over again that she finally got someone to buy her stuff that wasn't related to her. So I just
love it. I love the eShore commercial with the old lady who has the wall of photos, but it's literally taped photos.
Oh, for friends?
Yes, and then her friend's like, I love the expression, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works.
Totally. And yeah, I'm taking you off my wall. Oh, yes, I get it. Now, all right.
So let me add, though, I think this is really, really important. One of the things that the launch gave me is the vital realization that you have got to continue to spend a ton of money to grow and learn. It's actually the start of a journey. It's not the end of a journey. And I now spend so much money, it's not even funny.
Yeah.
It's like, what? That's only $500. That's pennies. That's dirt cheap. Whereas my very first high-end thing was $500, and it was this long conversation with my husband, and this total freak out, and oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I can relate to that for sure. I remember there used to be these long conversations about, okay, I'm going to go buy this house, and here's what's going to happen, and here's what we're going to do. And now regularly I spend lots of money, tons of zeros, and we don't even talk about it.
Exactly,
we don't even, why bother talking about it? Because it's like, whatever, just make sure the money comes back. I'm like,
it's so funny. It's the journey. Yeah, I was not a pleasant mom or wife during my launch period. Now my husband doesn't even know when I'm launching. It's that relaxed.
Right. And then that speaks to the transformation. It speaks to a lot of, hey, we're human beings, and you made a choice. You found the steps that were necessary to make it happen. So, and then you went out and did it. So let me ask this. Many people, we all know the book, 7 Habits of Successful People, and I'm sure there are certain things that you do that are...
Not many of those, but yeah.
Well, it may not be any of the ones from the book, but there could be some things that you do that contribute to your correct mindset, your correct action set, your correct, ways of thinking and being. I would love to know what any of those things are that you do habitually that you believe support you in your attainment of your goals and dreams.
It's such an interesting question. I think we get drowned in our own, I deal with this with therapy clients. We are who we are, and it takes actually seeing ourselves through others' eyes. So your question is a good one, and it requires a certain level of insight of like, what do I do that others don't? And so I'm kind of therapizing the answer because I'm only starting to understand what I do differently that's given me the success. And so I want to come at this from like I don't overanalyze myself because I'm kind of afraid like I'll stop doing the things that are that are the mojo. But one of them is I think a lot of people have excuses and I don't make excuses. So it's really important as a woman, and I'm a mom, and I had crazy medical complications from my pregnancies, and I didn't let any of that stop me. And so when I had my launch, it was in August, I didn't see my kids much at all that summer. And that's really important. Like you cannot, my dad says, you cannot save the world between 9 and 5. And so I think it's super important that if I want to do something, I need to make it happen. And now obviously I talked with my husband. I saw my kids, but it was very intentional. It was no guilt from my end. It was, hey kids, mommy's launching this thing that's really important. We're very values oriented, right? So mommy and daddy went back to school. We're trying to make the world a better place through helping marriages. And there's sacrifices. And one of them is you're not going to see me as much. And so I didn't let that be an excuse. And what I'm learning is a lot of women in particular make their kids an excuse. And that's
Okay.
not good because you can't succeed.
Hmm.
If you can't travel and you can't miss certain things, you can't. I mean, the part of success is being a yes person.
Oh,
Yes to opportunity,
yeah,
right?
but Elizabeth, I don't know. I don't understand all what I'm saying yes to. How can I say yes to something if I don't understand it?
Yeah. Well, that's where you have to know your vision and your mission, and you have to take a lot of risks, I think. And you got to assume it's sort of like you got to get out there. You got to be on the playing field. And if you're not,
Uh,
then nobody cares. Nobody cares about you until you care about them. So I guess another thing that I've instinctively done that I'm now actually appreciating is a sign of success is I have a business coach right now who calls it open versus closed network. I'm a very open network. I constantly am talking to people, but never in that gross, what can you do for me way? I'm much more interested in people in general. And then years later, when I actually do stuff, I can go to these people and it's not gross because I have built an honest relationship with people. So
got it.
my network is very, very big. But I die a small death when I read about networking and that really like the BNI and go exchange business cards. That just kills me. That just kills me.
I'm gonna do my best not to get off on a tangent on that one because everyone has heard me, heard my thoughts on that more than enough. Just go watch any YouTube video. In fact, I made a YouTube video specifically about that because Anyway, moving on.
The soapboxes.
Yeah, they're just certain things. You said instincts, right? The instinct is I've got to do that or do it that way, and so there suddenly becomes products in the marketplace that fulfill that instinct, which necessarily doesn't help you sometimes, simply because you think that's what you need, and that's like the wrong thing. But details. I digress. The thing that I think that's interesting about everything that you've put together is you come from this industry that requires degrees and it requires education and continuing education and all
Ego
this
and
yes,
status.
exactly. How on earth do you, I mean, because the same thing tends to happen a lot around real estate people. I hear this all the time. Jay, I just want to do real estate. I don't want to do that sales and marketing stuff.
Right.
I would love to hear your thoughts on that because somehow sales and marketing is beneath me, but yet
Oh my God, right?
I exactly. So I gotta hear your thoughts on this because I mean, you've got letters after your name, and so does your clients, and I'm just like, okay, so how does that work?
No, it is an issue. And actually in our launch, we had a few people say, oh, you guys are doing all this marketing stuff on us. And I'm like, well, whatever. You still have a choice to make if you want the training. No, but so the way I've come to it, and I actually did some consulting for therapists before I went back to grad school. Marketing, actually the best line I heard recently was, you are always marketing whether you're trying to or not. So by not marketing, you're actually screaming to the world, I don't give a flying rat's ass about you, and go to somebody else because I'm so on my high horse that I'm not going to educate you in any way. And I'm going to prove to you that you shouldn't work with me because I don't care about you at all. So that I love that frame. But yeah, basically to me, marketing is sharing your passion and your gifts in a way that people can grab onto, because the more you share of what you know, the more likely people are. And that's actually a really important success theme. I'm sure you agree with 110% generosity. Mm-hmm. One of the bad instincts is we're not generous enough. Right. And Ryan Dice, I think he said, if your entire business is a single book, like that's not a business. Like if you're afraid of giving away stuff because, oh my God, I'm giving away everything. That's not a business. That's a hobby. That's like a single point of information. So anyway, so being really, really generous is absolutely essential.
Agreed. I've also said things like he or she who educate to dominate. That's been the philosophy that we've used. Yep. So we've got a lot. We get the frequent email. Hey, I can't believe you gave us all this for free.
Exactly.
I'm like, yeah, well, there's more.
Exactly.
Watch, here it comes.
Yeah. And then for status people, I'd say one of the things that I actually have used to my advantage is when people kind of tick me off because I don't like how they're marketing or I don't like what they're doing or what they're saying, I actually leverage that as energy to do good for the marketplace. Like I leverage my anger at bad advice to market. Take what you can get, right?
Totally.
So I think some people have a high status and like, I don't want to be like those people. And it's like, well, you don't have to be gross, but do you realize you're telling the customer all professionals like you are like that person?
Right.
Unless you're different. So yeah.
Yeah. You may not want to be like that person, but you could choose to be broke instead. And I'm fine with that if that's really...
I think that every profession has gross marketers. I think
that's true too.
The people, they're the bottom feeders who grab the free information. They don't know what they're doing, but they're told, like, you got to be on YouTube. So they're on YouTube with their one view video, right? And it's like, oh, sweet pea, you have bad lighting, bad audio, no call to action. But I'm proud of you. I mean, so you got to pay attention to like the good people.
Oh, dear Lord, Elizabeth, you are killing me over here. Oh, guys, I know you may not be getting everything that she's saying, but it's hilarious right now to me, dude. She's like, because you've seen, and I know you have. In fact, we used to get that email from you guys when our audio was what it is today. Thank you, Chad, Jacob, Drew, and all the team. I mean, for helping us get this stuff straight, because you guys appreciate, something that's quality. In fact, it's becoming the minimal standard today. Yeah. And that's what she's saying is like, if you want to actually have your business grow, show that you care, and you got to show that you care before you ask for $1.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. You have to honor your customer, and they only care about themselves. So if you don't care about them, why should they care about you?
Yeah. So you mentioned briefly about starting with very little resources.
Yep.
And you also mentioned about medical complications.
Yeah.
These things tend to become, as you said, excuses. I too, I tell people this, especially before they ever decide to do a one-on-one coaching with me. I'm like, look, I am not Mr. Compassion. Just ask my wife. I'm no good at it. And I will not accept excuses. I think there's a gene somewhere that I totally got skipped on for that. So I don't know how to do it.
You have a resilience gene, and I have a resilience gene. And in fact, there's actual science behind it. People are interested. New York Times Magazine, Google resilience and alleles, ALLELLE, I think. Anyway, I digress. But there's literally some genetics there.
Well, that makes me feel better. That's for sure. So, what I want to know is, okay, so you're not letting medical. I mean, those are real things. What are some of those things that you were dealing with from a medical standpoint and money, so that people can hear that? Look, these are not valid. These are not valid reasons to say, "Oh, I can never be like Elizabeth. I can't do the $100,000 because I got this."
Yeah. So, I won't bore people with necessarily the details of what I have because they're all rare and obscure. But to give you an example, I travel. It wipes me out for a good 2 weeks, but I still travel. I'm drenched in sweat because it's all that walking and the moving and the whatever. It's all a big trigger. So I'm drenched in sweat at the airport. I am exhausted when I network and stand, like at conferences. It's absolutely exhausting. I'm lightheaded and sweaty. I'm dizzy. I feel like crap. I have food stuff, so I'm constantly fluctuating with high and low blood sugar, and it's always sort of something I have to manage. And it's hard when you travel, but I have figured it out. Doing video, another trigger. So I'm literally drenched in sweat. So I turn the air conditioning down to do video. I've pretty much not let anything. I went to Mayo Clinic, and the neurologist is like, yeah, you need to meditate and have a low stress life. Not going to happen. But the thing is, I enjoy what I do, and I literally would be worse off and more stressed out if I wasn't an entrepreneur.
Exactly.
So it's good stress. And so, yeah, and I had heart damage from my second pregnancy. So I kind of took my PTSD from that and put it into work, which I guess that's an entrepreneur, right?
Right.
Oh my God, I'm going to die. Let's go work.
I know it'll make me feel better. Stress.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly. I can't control my mortality, but I can control my rankings and SEO.
Absolutely. my customer acquisition cost is in half. This is awesome. Yeah, totally. I get all of those things. The point is, in your mind, let me ask you this. Is there such a thing as a valid excuse?
Well, here I'd flip the question because I'm playing
Okay.
with this for my second phase of my launch. Like, I don't want to travel as much. It literally does exhaust me. There's no way around it. So the question you have to ask yourself is, for this phase of my business, if I don't do that activity, is it going to hurt me? And my answer was yes. I absolutely needed to do all that travel. I'm now at the point where I can stand on 2 feet and I can stand on a healthy bank account. And now I can ask myself, what is an excuse versus what is a better way to live my life? And so I actually have choices that I didn't have before. So I would say you have less choice when you're starting out than you do once you're successful. So now I can decide, am I doing live sort of high stress things, or am I going to try to record things in advance that give me less stress and control my time? So I kind of would say it's a both and.
Perfect.
But I would say if all the things you need to do to be successful, you're saying you can't do for your medical reasons, then don't be an entrepreneur. Just don't. Don't even waste anybody's time and energy, because we all have stuff.
Right.
We all have stuff. And it's actually, what you'll find is it's actually pretty rude to complain to other entrepreneurs. Because I know that's harsh, but it's true.
No, I love you right now. Keep going.
Yeah, I'm kind of a straight shooter, if you can't tell.
Picked it
Because
up on
you can
that.
say, like, well, I have such and such. Actually, I met a woman at a conference with diabetes, and she's traveling the world alone on a sailboat. Like, talk about no excuses.
Right.
She die from lack of insulin, and it's no excuses. And so I think we have to be careful to not underappreciate that anybody that's been successful has pretty dramatic stories, and some of them are continuing, right? I mean, there's entrepreneurs who are like, yeah, I'm crushing it, and I'm sorry you have diabetes, but my wife is actually dying of cancer, but I am still doing this business because I need to do it. You know what I mean? It gives you the humility to be like, who am I?
Exactly. You underscored it perfectly, because occasionally we can be deceived into thinking for them, the road was paved with gold and there was never anything in their way. And it just had to be easy, because that's the only way I can see that anyone could ever get to that level in a month, and let alone 7 days. So, those are things that we can think erroneously. And that's why I asked the question, is to help people, help all of us understand exactly what is it really like out there.
Yeah, it's hard and exhausting, and you don't sleep, and it's hard work no matter what. And somebody could have a medical complication, and somebody else has I know an entrepreneur whose house literally burned down, including most of the videos he had been creating for his business. I mean, just it's never ending. But if that's going to be the reason you stop, then I would say you probably were never meant to be the entrepreneur, because a real entrepreneur never stops. They pivot, right?
Yes.
You pivot. You're not stupid. You don't chase the same thing that's failing 500 times. Right?
499, but not 500. Yes.
Yeah, but you don't. Yeah. So I do think it kind of, we won't get political, but I have a feeling that politics plays a role in this, of people with really bad money baggage who think that certain types of people are blissed out and have never had anything wrong. And I don't know, it's an interesting victim mindset. That's the whole thing that fascinates me, is victimology, but not criminal, but like personal. Like, I'm a victim because I am this gender, I'm this race, I am this age, I am this disability. It's very, very tantalizing. And as a therapist, it's something that I feel, as a therapist, it's my duty to help people out of that mindset.
Well, and so that everyone is clear, I had to make sure I found some females who had done this too, so that you guys don't email me saying, "Hey, where are the ladies at?" And I'm like, no, they're here. So you can't say, there is no excuse that they exist. Now, for those, Elizabeth, that have been listening this far and are going, maybe they are therapists themselves, or no therapist friends, and they could help, or maybe they themselves
need help. Yeah.
They need help themselves. What would be the best way for them to find out more about what you guys have going on?
Yeah, so I would have people go to the website called discernmentcounseling.com.
Okay.
Discernmentcounseling.com. And that's directed to the public and to professionals. We also have divorce attorneys on there who are what we call family friendly. So they if you are going to get a divorce, they're the best people we recommend. And we're growing all of that. So it's by no means, success is not a one and done. Which is another huge myth.
Right. You mean you're not laying out by the pool today?
I know, right? I have people like, oh man, if I had a 6-figure launch, I could pay off all my student loan debt. And I'm like, and you realize I would have no food tomorrow if I just got my debt. Like, there is no magical paycheck coming to me. This is literally my paycheck.
Yeah, right. Totally, right?
People are funny.
Well, yes. That's why we do what we do to help them out. That's why we do what we do. So, last question here. If someone that, was considering putting on their superhero outfit, becoming that entrepreneur, they're standing in front of this superhero outfit store, picking out their capes and tights right now, yet in the back of their mind, they still have that voice. And you know the voice I'm talking about, that's plaguing them, that's nagging them, that's just very, very loud and still in their way. What would you say to them right now, Elizabeth?
I would say take your doubts and your fears and all that nagging stuff seriously, and know that there is an answer and a workaround and a reframe out there for you. I guarantee it. No matter what, I don't even care what it is. Somebody is in your shoes now or was in your shoes and can soothe you, can give you the tool, the tip. I'm a huge resource queen. I love finding resources. So I guess that's my tip. You are not alone. There is nothing that you want to do that somebody else hasn't done successfully that can't help you on that journey.
Agreed.
You're not alone. That's my biggest tip. You are not alone. Nothing.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love all of it. I personally want to thank you for taking the time to share with us here and just to invest in the audience, and we will do our best to produce a return.
Yes. Well, this was so much fun. Thank you for having me on.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is. It's time for you to move at the speed of instruction. What does that mean today? That means go check out discernmentcounseling.com, because you're like, how on earth can this do 6 figures? Well, go find out. Look at it. Here's the thing. It doesn't matter the industry. It doesn't matter the gender. It doesn't matter anything. All that matters is that you find your people that you want to serve and you go give them the best of you that you possibly can. Hopefully, you're getting that message. It's been fun talking to you today. I look forward to talking to you soon. Until next time.